Okay, so for this assignment, this is just FYI, this is your final assignment for the year. And for this assignment, you will be creating a food web um, in a Google Drawing that kind of explains all of the topics that we've been covering over the past couple of weeks regarding ecosystems. So what I'm going to do right now is just kind of run through some important information regarding the project and then also show you how to construct the food web for your assignment. So over here on the left, you'll find some resources, helpful resources that you will need to use in order to complete your assignment. This first link is a link to this video that you are currently watching. The second link is a link to a bunch of websites. So when you click on it, it will open you to this document. And in this document are a bunch of links to websites to help you with your research for your specific food web. So the first thing you'll need to do is choose an ecosystem. So you can choose either rainforest, temperate forest, savanna, prairie or grasslands, alpine, mountain, or desert, or marine, or Arctic. Okay, so you'll have to choose an ecosystem, and then once you've selected an ecosystem that you would like to research, use these links to help you research different organisms found in that ecosystem to complete your food web. And I'll kind of touch on that more here in a second. The last link in here under helpful resources is a link to my example project. So if you click on that, it should open you to my example. And this just kind of shows you exactly kind of how yours should look when you are completely finished. So if you're having some trouble about what you think yours should look like, totally feel free to take a look at this just so you can have an idea. This is helpful to make sure that you are including all of the components of the assignment in your final project. Okay, so that's all the helpful resources. Below that, you'll see some icons that you'll use. These are here, and I'll touch on them in a second when I'm talking about the food web specifically, but these are labels that you'll use in your food web. And then to the right here is your actual Google Drawing. So in this space will be your food web, similar to how mine is right here. And to the right of that, you'll include a title, you'll list abiotic factors, and then you'll fill in this chart about specific relationships in your ecosystem. Again, identical to mine. To the right of your Google Drawing is all of the information components that you should be including in your assignment. So you kind of use this as somewhat like a checklist. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of run through each of these items so that you know exactly what I'm referring to in this component checklist. So the first thing you'll need is a title of your ecosystem, and that will go here where it says ecosystem name. So for example, looking at mine, all you're doing is plugging in what type of ecosystem you're using. So mine was a kelp forest. Okay. If you choose Arctic, then you would write Arctic ecosystem or rainforest ecosystem. Whatever you select is what will go here. And that's the title. Your name should not be hard. I hope you know your name at this point. The third item is 3 abiotic factors found in your ecosystem. And remember, abiotic means non-living. So you need 3 things that are found specific to yours. Take a look at my example. I have sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, oxygen. All of these factors are found in my food web, in my ecosystem, but they are not living. The next component here is 2 different ecosystem relationships found in your ecosystem. So your choices are predator-prey, mutualism, commensalism, or parasitism. I would like you to do 2 different ones, so you cannot do 2 of the same. And that's this box below, this chart, that's what this is referring to. So the first column, you'll just type in what relationship you're describing. So is it a predator-prey, mutualism, commensalism or parasitism. What two organisms are involved in this relationship? Just FYI, these two organisms, they do not necessarily need to be found in your food web. If they are, great. If not, it's not a big deal. However, they do need to be found within your ecosystem. And then the last column of the chart is how do these organisms interact in the relationship. So take a look at mine. My first one was a predator-prey relationship. And I did the elephant seal and the horn shark, which are found in mine. And I said the elephant seal is the predator and the horn shark is the prey. Elephant seals typically hunt the horn shark during the day when they are sleeping, as they are nocturnal hunters. Okay, and my second one is commensalism. And I did the sea otter and kelp, which also are in my food web over here. The sea otter uses the kelp as an anchor while they sleep. The sea otters wrap themselves in the kelp so they do not float around while they sleep. The kelp is not affected by this. So that would be an example of commensalism. You need two. And then the last, all the last components refer to your food web. So your food web should include 6 or more organisms. 6 is the minimum. If you want to just do 6, that's fine. I only did 6 in mine. If you want to do more, feel free. You need a picture of each organism. So you'll see I have little pictures in here of each one. You need the name of each organism. So next to it, what is it specifically? So for example, this says horn shark, elephant seal, sea otter, sea urchin, kelp, and kelp crab. Please write the specific name of the organism. Do not just write fish, shark. Okay? Be specific about the type of species you are including in your food web. You need a label of the type of organism, meaning is it a producer, consumer, apex predator, etc. And in here I have a little note, use the icons. So that's what these are for. And in a sec, when I kind of give you an example of how to add things to your food web, I'll show you how to use these. And then the final component of your food web, you should be including arrows that show the path of energy flow within the food web. Okay, so what I'm going to do this last part of the video, I'm just going to quickly, really briefly show you an example of kind of how to add an organism into your food web and to show you exactly what I mean and what you should be including for each organism in the food web. So I'm just going to click on my website links. And for example, let's see, I'm going to say I'm doing rainforests. Okay, and I'm just going to click on a random link here. Now, I'm going to be doing this very quickly. Obviously, you should be kind of doing a little bit more research about your specific organisms in your ecosystem. Okay, so looking in here, so a lot of different trees are found in the tropical rainforest. I would need to find a specific type of tree. So maybe even just after using this as my kind of first resource here, I could just do a quick search. Trees found in the rainforest. And here's a huge list of trees. So I'm going to go with the giant red cedar. Okay, so if I'm adding the giant red cedar into my food web, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of find a picture of it. So any of these pictures would be great. I'm going to click on this one, and all I'm going to do is copy the image, go to my Google Drawing, edit, paste, and obviously I'm going to have to resize this so I can fit it. Okay, so I'm just going to make it pretty tiny right now. And because this is my tree, that means it's a producer, and I'm going to put it near the bottom. And I think the most helpful thing when constructing your food web is to start from the bottom and work your way up. So start with your producers, work towards your apex predator. Okay, so I'm going to just add my producer towards the bottom. Okay, so that's my picture. I've got that. I need the name of it. So to add a label, you're going to click this box here. This is a text box. And I'm just going to create a text box. And it automatically made it like that because I made all these like that. So I'm just going to change it so it's transparent. The fill, you can change the fill color of it if you'd like. This would be the color of the border. So you can see there, that would change it. I'm going to make it so it's transparent right now, meaning no border. And so we're going to just add the name of the organism, which is a giant red cedar. And I'm going to resize it there and put that right underneath it. So there's the name of the organism. Now I need a label for the type of organism, and that's where these icons come into play. So what I would suggest is these are here. This does not mean you need to use one of each. They're just all here, and what I would like you to be doing is copying and then pasting them into your food web using these icons. So I'm going to copy this one because it's a producer, and then paste it, and it should make another copy, which it did right here. And now I can just kind of put it somewhere near my picture. So I'm just going to kind of slide this in here. Okay, so that would be my first organism. Okay. Eventually, I would move on to my next kind of level of organisms, which would be my primary consumers, which are the organisms that are eating my producers. And you can kind of see from mine example, I kind of did them in levels. So my first level is a producer, my second level are consumers, my third level are secondary consumers, and then my fourth level is my tertiary consumer, which also is my apex predator. That is okay. If your tertiary consumer is also your apex predator, that's totally fine. As you can see from mine, I just put both of those labels for the same organism. Okay. Only thing that I'm missing right now in mine for my example is an arrow. Eventually, obviously, I would have some organisms above it, and I would need to have arrows going to them if that organism consumes my producer here. So I would add an arrow by clicking on this icon. You'd click on arrow, and then all you're doing is kind of putting an arrow and pointing it in the direction that the energy would be flowing. So if there's an organism here that consumes my red cedar, then I would put the arrow going towards that organism. Okay. Again, please use my example as a guide when you are working on this. Yours does not need to be identical to mine. You could have 3 producers and only 1 secondary consumer or whatever. You come up with your own design. It does not need to be identical to mine, but it is here as a guide for you. When you're completely finished, make sure that you submit your assignment into Google Classroom. If you would like to change the text style and the colors and everything, totally feel free to jazz it up and add your own kind of style to your final assignment.